Welcome back to Water Hose Drinkers. Today is October 29th. We're 2 days out from Halloween. It is episode 43, Cole, 43?
43, 44, something like that.
43. 43. We don't even know what episode we're on, but it's okay. Yeah, it is episode 43. We're here today with one half of the group of five guys, Matt Sprouse. Find them Monday, Wednesday, Friday on all your platforms. First off, Matt, thank you. This is your third appearance on Water Hose Drinkers, so we can't thank you enough.
Third appearance. I've been drinking water from the water hose for a long time, so I'm fired up to be back and talking ball with y'all.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
go. I love it.
We
I
had
love
you
it.
on about a year ago, and then, of course, you, Murph, and Tip at the Southern Spring game. We need to find a way in the springtime, either, if y'all go to another spring game, it doesn't have to be Georgia Southern, but if y'all go to another group of five one, me and Cole might have to tag along with y'all.
Spring games are a good time. You really get to do more. That's the hardest part about when we go is there's just with a game and you're trying to tailgate and we're trying to do a live show. It's like we talk a big game, we're going to do all this fun stuff, and then by the time the day comes around, you're exhausted. You run out of time, stuff happens like distractions and all that stuff. And so spring games, a lot less stress. You can kind of just come and go and do your thing and you get the tour and you get to the coaches are more open to hanging out and talking. The spring games are a real good time to now. Whether or not schools even do spring ball in the near future, I don't know because most of them have about half a roster in the spring. So
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
tough.
Yeah. It's not even a game anymore. It's more of I know, like, I went to the Florida State one and it was a showcase. And I was sitting there
Hmm.
going, what is this? It's the most vanilla stuff you can put out there. But hey, I mean, anytime you can go talk to some coaches, get a little intel, get a little insight, spring transfer window, stuff like that. See if anything's moving and grooving at the school. It's always a good time. And I'm game for whatever. Y'all boys know that. I'm game for whatever. So
For
just
me
happy to be
on
here.
spring games, it's like you can't really tell much, obviously. But like for Georgia Southern, for an example, last year we're like, man, who's going to be the quarterback going into the
Hmm.
season? So it was interesting to see, who was taking care of the football, who was making the good throws and whatnot. But I don't know. Spring games are just, I like them. I like to go to them because it's some sort of football in the springtime.
That's a fact.
Oh
You can
yeah.
find out who you're if you got a new guy, you could see him for the first time and see if you think you really got a good one. Um,
Or a new coach. I mean, of course, it won't see much,
mhm.
but at least to see, what kind of roster he's building up.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna
You
tell
could be
you that.
completely fooled too. You could be completely fooled at a spring game.
Yeah.
There's that as well. So
The first spring game we went to was Troy. The first year John Summerall got to Troy, and Troy had been struggling for a minute, and we went down there, and I mean, I'll pat myself and us on the back, but we watched their spring game and we walked away. Everybody thought that year Louisiana was the easy like favorite in the West, come back to back, all that, and we were like, man, I don't know about their offense, but that defense is about to be. I remember quoting it like all time great, and I want to say they gave up like 12 points a game that year. I mean, they won the conference and then won it again the following year. But you can find out with a new coach, you can find out real quick. And then you can see guys, me, I like the eye test. So you can see guys that aren't playing even that are in street clothes. And you're like, oh my God, that
The old
guy's
Cab
special, man.
Roots check, man. No, I mean,
It's
dude, when we were all at the Georgia Southern Boise State game, I mean, I've said it multiple times. I remember standing with y'all and like we saw Ashton Genty, and it's like I knew who Ashton Genty was last year because of y'all. And obviously y'all knew him before that just because you follow Boise a little bit more than I do. But anyway, I remember looking at y'all, I was like, dude, it's gonna be a long freaking
yeah. Yeah.
hand up, I had no idea. That was a thing, and I was, bullish on it. I was like, man, nah, he got this. And as soon as he ripped that 70-yarder right in front of
Yeah.
us,
Right off the bat.
I was like,
yeah.
I remember I looked at you guys and I went, oh,
Yeah.
he's like that, and then just continued throughout the rest of the game, just going and going. And I mean, I've
Yeah. I mean,
that
I
was an
remember
experience.
I mean, just hearing him last year, Matt, on Group of Five guys, it's like, all right, like I keep on hearing this name come up almost every single week last year. So I was like, I got to look into him. And y'all were just, more or less blowing smoke up his ass, before, the season started, as you
Yeah.
should, because the guy should win the freaking Heisman. So,
Well, you got to give credit to the Boise fans because it was 2 seasons ago when they had another kid. They had George Halani,
oh, yeah,
who is somewhere. I think he's in the league running around.
I'm going to
But
Google.
Genti, I think, was a freshman, or he had just come off his freshman year, and we put out a thing like top running backs to watch in 2022 or 2023, whatever it was, and we put Halani on it. And you would have thought we said Boise State sucks because they were like, you guys don't know ball, blah blah blah. Ashton Genty is the guy, and we're like, okay. And then we went down to Memphis and saw them play Memphis last year, and Genty like hurdled somebody like on not in the open field. You know what I mean? Like just like in traffic, just like hurdled somebody, no problem, like bounced off somebody else. And we were like, me, Jeff, and Tip were down there. We were like, what the hell was that? And then, he had a great year last year, but I mean, nothing compared to what he's doing this year.
Yeah. Halani is a month ago, he got hurt with the Seahawks
Mm.
ankle. He's been with the Seahawks the entire career, but he's either still on the IR or on the practice squad right now. He has not been on an active roster in a month.
Mm. Well, Boise churns out some running backs, man. I mean,
Oh
Doug
God,
Martin
yeah.
for a while, Jay Ajayi, if you remember him,
Oh,
played for
yeah.
the Eagles and Dolphins for a long time. They put out some backs.
Oh yeah.
Was Jay
Oh
Ajayi
dude,
the guy he retired somewhat early in his career and just like started
he,
focusing
be,
on like
he became
gaming?
a Twitch streamer. Yeah, he was a
Uh-huh.
competitive COD player, and it was right before I think the Eagles won the Super Bowl. It was right before
Mm-hmm.
then. He was on the Eagles. I remember that. And
Okay.
touching back on Doug Martin, I remember because I'm a Bucks fan. I remember when we got him, and I was super excited and super happy. He just kind of, I think I forget what happened. He kind of just fell out, but he had a great 2 years in Tampa. So yeah, Boise State's known for just churning out running backs, and I'm really excited to see where Genty lands in this upcoming draft. I don't know where
Mm-hmm.
he will be, but I know he definitely probably wants to go play for Dallas, being from I believe it was
Yeah.
Frisco.
Frisco.
So
Yeah. Lone
he'll
Star High School.
and, and it makes the most sense. Dallas needs a running back. He'd be the hometown kid. See if Jerry Jones.
Yeah. It
You
just
know they
depends
had and they
where they put, how much they prioritize the running backs. That's a whole nother topic, but I think you're going to see the pendulum kind of shift back a little bit. I think, I don't know. You watch the NFL a little bit, even you watch college football, and I'm not a quarterback, but I think Jeff will agree with me. I've heard Tom Brady sort of agree with me on this. Is like the quarterback play is not very good right now,
Mhm.
like across the board. Outside of guys like Mahomes and Lamar and Josh Allen, like they're playing great, but other than that, you don't really see anybody. And if you listen to what Tom Brady has said, it's like, well, you got these guys, they transfer every year, they get a new coordinator every season, so they never truly develop or learn a system. And then they go to the NFL and they go to a sorry team with a bad O line and no skill guys. And they're like thrown in there, and the fans think they're going to win the Super Bowl immediately. And they get like 2 years. And then, you look at these guys like Bryce Young, like the guy never had a chance. Like he never even gave that guy a chance at Carolina. And you
His
look at,
best receiver is freaking Adam Thielen.
yeah, dude,
Come on.
you look at Justin Fields on the Bears, and they get rid of the guy, and sure, Caleb Williams so far looks okay, but they also completely flipped the roster. Like, give Justin Fields any of those guys, and he might succeed, and you just don't know. But anyway, I say all that to say, I think you're going to see teams like when you look at like the Vikings, or you look at like what the Falcons are doing, where they might be like, you know what, there's not really that Tom Brady that we just can't beat. We just got to put together a decent roster, like Detroit Lions. Like San Francisco's been good for how long without a true like QB1. And I think you're going to start seeing stuff like that. And the Cowboys probably are not going to like do the right thing, but I think you'll start seeing more left tackles getting drafted early, more pass rushers getting drafted early, more everything. I mean, honestly, the QB is such a gamble. So
I mean, look at
I
it.
don't know.
I mean, I can compare it to my Bucks. Dude, they went center. They went Tristan Wirfs. They've gone pass rush and all that stuff for the past couple years, and their retention of guys. They retained everyone from that 2022 draft class. They retained everybody. So if you kind of take that approach to it, that's kind of where we're heading in football. And I saw a thing earlier. It was like Justin Fields benched at 22, Kenny Pickett benched at 26. It was all these young guys that just like that have not been good. And I guess like you said, guys that don't sit in the system. CJ Stroud is probably the only guy that I can really think of that sat in the system, played at Ohio State, didn't transfer out, and he's balling out. And it kind
Yep.
of helps your point to where, you know, these
Good.
older we're having like this weird gap of where it's not good quarterback play. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
who knows what the future will hold.
hats off. I know Arch Manning. I know he gets a lot of publicity, but hats off to that kid for not, just running high and dry from
Mm-hmm.
Texas, sitting on a bench behind a good quarterback and actually sitting there learning the system.
Mm,
And honestly, it could be all him, but I'm just saying it, say it like his uncles, his dad, and his grandfather are all in his ear about that. That's not
Yeah.
what it's about.
Yeah, Josh, like if you listen to our deal, we talk about bad advice that
Mm.
kids get all the time about transferring, about leaving early for the draft and stuff like that because they got no offense to anybody. Not everybody can be Peyton Manning and Arch Manning and Eli Manning, but their uncles and their dads who haven't really had success, like in general, right? And so, number one, kid's not hurting for money, so transferring NIL stuff, like he ain't. I don't think that's a priority for him. But then number two, yeah, you got Peyton Manning, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Eli Manning, multiple time Super Bowl champ, that are probably telling him like, hey, look, like I sat behind T Martin for a year or whatever, you know what I mean? And they're like, this is how you develop. Sure, you can transfer and become the man if you go to Ole Miss or somewhere like that right away. Or you could play in the NFL for 20 years and make $100 million, you know?
And I mean, I'm just kind of using Southern as an example. Even some of these guys, that have transferred out, I'm not saying they're bad players by any mean because they're good players, but none of these guys have really had success other than Alex Rainer's had a lot of success kicking for Kentucky. Michael Lance has had a pretty decent, good year at USC. But other than that, nobody's really done anything. Anthony Wilson had a little bit at West Virginia, but had a lot of guys just going elsewhere to P4 or whatever it may be just to ride the pine. Other than, Gerald Green, where I was talking about him today, he was at Southern, goes to East Carolina for 2 years, and now he's at Troy.
Yep.
Like, dude, you're kind of right back to where you all started, essentially. Like, it doesn't, is East Carolina really an up move from, at the time, it was kind of an up move from Georgia Southern, but really, you look at it, it's a lateral move. You're not really
Mm-hmm.
progressing your career that much going to a
Yeah.
Georgia being the guy, you know what I mean? Which obviously is going to get more eyes on you.
Well, and these guys that transfer, especially from like group of five to power five or whatever, and then they go and they don't get the same numbers. And some people will say, yeah, because the talent level's better. And it's not necessarily true, right? Like if you I'll use Ole Miss as an example because they get they live in the portal. But like you get, let's say Ole Miss needs a receiver. Well, they're gonna go get three of them that were wide receiver one at their group of five school. And now you put them all in the same room, and of course their numbers are going to drop, or one of them might not fit the system. And so, in my mind, it's like, buddy, if you're getting stats and you're getting snaps, why mess that up? Like it's a sure thing to stay,
Right.
right? And then if you leave, you might battle whatever, like a kid that's better than you comes at the same time from another school, or you don't fit the system as much, or there's now they got two or three receivers and you're getting half the targets, or I mean anything. And you see these guys, it happens all the time. I mean, there's we've tweeted it out a bunch. There's literal data that
Mhm.
shows to if you want to go to the NFL, the stats say you're better off staying in the group of 5 and performing versus transferring. The
I'll give
numbers are
What? Wait, what
100% factual
about?
on that.
I feel like there's a couple outliers just from my own team, like with Jared
of
Verse
course,
and Braden
of course,
Fisk.
there's
Like
outliers.
you got to be actual like the guy. So the like seeing those guys come in, but we only took one. It was like one edge rusher, one D tackle.
Mhm.
It's like one of each. But what you're saying is I 100% agree. And I'm oh God, I remember watching um the was it Horton for Colorado State last year
Torrey
and
Horton,
watching him
yep.
ball out. Yeah, and I was like, man, he's going to transfer out. And like I like that. That's what kind of is getting with me in college football. I was like, he has so much talent and he's playing so well. He just needs to stay there, and he did. But like at the time, I was like, man, he's going to transfer out. And he's going to be at Alabama, and it's
Yeah.
and I'm looking at the UNLV guys. I want them to stay. Unless their offensive coordinator comes to Florida State, which I'm floating that out there. But and then I'll take all the UNLV guys. But
Yeah, you
But back
American dream.
to
you
kind
could
of
use a few
But
of
I
them.
get what you're saying. Use a
keep
lot.
what you're saying is like, Ashton Genty's obviously a good example of it because there is tampering going on. Somebody was in Genty's ear saying, "Hey man, using Alabama as an example here, not saying Alabama was doing anything, but hey, man, Alabama's offering you 100K. Like, you want to go and be the guy? But I'll give you a perfect example because there was 100%, no doubt in my mind, tampering in this guy's college career. Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo.
Yeah, Nick Saban came out and said it. He tried to get him to enter the portal.
Exactly. Exactly. And what happens? Nothing.
I know.
Nothing. And it's like, Quinyon Mitchell, I mean, besides Saban, Kirby Smart was trying to do the same thing.
Mhm.
Lane Kiffin was trying to do the same thing. I mean, you could just go down the list, man. And it's like you said, Matt, you're better off staying where you're at and producing those numbers at that group of 5 school because guess what? You produce numbers, bam. If you're Quinyon Mitchell, you're a freaking first round draft pick, man.
Mhm. Well, and it's like a lot of it, they just got to be patient because sure, we were talking about Quinyon Mitchell right after we saw him live. We were talking about it, but then you don't necessarily get the national publicity, but the NFL scouts know who you are. Like that's the thing I think people don't understand. Like Mel Kiper might not know who you are because he doesn't know until the scouts tell him who people are. He don't know nothing. He doesn't watch these games like
I
anybody
hate
does.
Mel Kiper. I can't
Yeah,
stand.
he's terrible.
But I'll tell you one guy who's always good about it is Jim Nagy, head of the Senior Bowl. He knows what's up.
Because here's why, Josh. Though Mel Kiper has been spewing nonsense for 30 years and never been right about anything. I mean, like, I mean, honestly, and Jim Nagy's entire business is on the line when he
And,
has
and,
these
he,
guys come in,
and he's a former NFL scout too. To
right?
your point.
And all his scouts. So we actually, it was actually pretty cool when we went to Texas State week 2. I happened to be standing in the corner of the end zone. I'm doing my gluten calf test, and there's a dude with a Senior Bowl polo on. So I just got to talking to him. And all those guys, too, all the scouts are either former NFL scouts or they're trying to be, or both. Like they were, a coaching staff got let go. So they kind of got lost in the shuffle and they almost go as like I hate to use like a rehab stint, but you know what I mean? Like they go to keep scouting and keep doing what they're doing. And he said for those guys, like what Jim Nagy is looking for is not the sure thing first round pick, right? Mel Kiper can tell you that who's the first QB off the board, but who's that second to fifth round guy that average Joe's never watched play? Quinyon Mitchell, for example, who ended up going in the first round. But those guys go, and a guy like Mitchell,
Max Crosby.
yeah, Max Crosby. I mean, freaking was Sauce Gardner wasn't a Senior Bowl guy, was he?
I believe
I,
he left as a junior.
Yeah, I don't remember what he was,
Sauce
but
is interesting. Sauce was able to showcase himself on that playoff stage because Cincinnati got into the playoff, and I feel like people knew Sauce. But I get what you guys are saying, where
that's
it's
very
like you
true.
watch like because I'll watch the Senior Bowl and I'll see it and I'll see it. I love the Senior Bowl. I love seeing all the different helmets and
I,
all the
I'll tell you,
guys
not to
playing
interrupt
together.
you.
I love it.
If
Go ahead.
You want to go to the Senior Bowl before you go to a spring game. We'll go down there for like the practices and stuff. The Senior Bowl is awesome. And
I
like
was I was about to
you
ask.
want to meet coaches and scouts and players and agents, like they're all down there. Like you're just sitting there. And the cool thing about the Senior Bowl is, unless you're like NFL GM or head coach, like you're sitting in the bleachers, like amongst everybody. So like we were sitting there and like freaking Drew Rosenhaus is sitting right down in the like section over, and you're like, oh my God, like that. There's so much importance here.
Do you
Cole's
think there's anyone that's looking for a coach
You got
that
it.
can bring the smothered, covered in shine out? The blur's going on, but the
Go down
smothered,
there.
covered in listen, I'll
Go
bring
down
this
there to
menu down there and
Mobile.
I'll sit there and I'll sit there like this all game. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Matt, do y'all usually try to go every year, right?
We've been the last 2 years. The first year we kind of made a mistake because we went for the game, which is on the Saturday. The game is like going to the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a little
Yeah.
exhibit, but you want to go to the Tuesday and Wednesday like practices because they get after it. I mean, they go all out. And then you can tell after like the first day, you can tell who they like because then they'll do like end of practice or beginning of practice, like one-on-one. We're going to put,
Oh,
which wide receiver from Bama had the best day. Here's Quinion Mitchell. Like, okay, let's see what you got. You know what I mean? And they do it every practice.
that's awesome.
And then the O line and D line is like, buddy, you don't want any part of being in that
I
mix,
love
dude.
it. I love it.
You start seeing them dudes, and you're just like, you realize like every team's got a guy or two like that, and then you go down there and every single guy, you're just like, oh my God, like
I love watching
specimens,
the O
man.
line D line clips where it's like it's the D like this G5 guy is going up against this. He's supposed to be a first rounder. Like the Cowboys are looking at him, whatever, and then you just see the O linemen just get absolutely putting up the Linder, and they're like,
Hmm.
"Who's this?" Like it's like, "Who's this end coming out of Western Michigan?" And it's like
Yep.
that's what I love about it. And they'll even show the clips like prior. But man, I love what they do. I'm all for it. Putting the spotlight on the guys individually, trying to get to the next level. It's just awesome, man. And I'm excited for. I mean, I'm just excited. College football is great this year. As bad as my team is, I feel like college football has been great. And like you were talking, beforehand, it's like we don't even really know who's going to win what conferences. There's no really for sure team that's going to like win those conferences. So it's been a good year of college football, I think,
You know,
just from my standpoint.
kind of change topics here, Matt. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. City of Murfreesboro, Tennessee,
Mm.
hands the keys to the city to Tennessee Volunteers head baseball coach. Great baseball team, I might add. Not trying to take anything away from them, but you got a fantastic university right in your freaking backyard. And I just want to hear your opinion on it because, via Twitter, apparently Jeff Murphy is running for office there in Murfreesboro.
Well,
So he's got our full
yeah.
endorsement.
Well, I've always said the Murphy Lanning is his wife's family's name, his wife's maiden name. So the Murphy Lanning family is like the royal family of Murfreesboro. The Lannings were all three of them were really good high school basketball players, and then the one sister Anne Marie was fantastic at Middle women's basketball in the Middle Tennessee Hall of Fame and all that. And then Jeff, of course, now they got the deli. The Lannings have owned restaurants in town. So like they are to me, they think I'm kidding, but I think they're like the real royal family. Plus, their name's Murphy. So you could just kind of shuffle it around and make it Murfreesboro. But man,
I'm already seeing the political ads. I'm already seeing
yeah,
them. It's gonna
you
look
got,
real good.
I'm telling you, it's just easy. It's for the taking. It is for the taking. Jeff Murphy for mayor. I mean, I don't understand it, but man, what you have in Murfreesboro is like so you've always heard us talk about the athletic program and the university being on separate pages. Like we've always said, you have the football team, you have the athletic director and the administration, and then you have the president of the university, and they're all three like pulling in different directions. Well, you can also add like the city of Murfreesboro as the fourth layer in a whole different direction. And you know, the mayor, so I don't know all the stuff because we're getting some more information on this reporting that we're doing. And the mayor, like, a lot of people seem to believe, which I wouldn't doubt it based on what I know of our university, that like the mayor has sort of tried to like get involved and like make the university like a major part of the community. Now posting a picture and giving the keys to the city to the head coach of a school that's 3 hours away and wearing bright ass orange shoes and like an orange vest. To me, I don't care what the situation is. I think it's unacceptable. I just do. I think you wouldn't see that anywhere. I mean, could you imagine, Josh? Could you imagine like your dad going to a function in Statesboro and handing the keys to Kirby Smart?
Yeah.
No, you'd never do that.
That's a perfect example because Statesboro to Athens is exactly
It's
3 hours
exactly the
away.
same. It's exactly the
Oh
same.
my
And look, like I
God.
get it. Murfreesboro's full
Ugh.
of Tennessee fans. I get it. But part of the reason why is that right there, because the city treats the university as a second class university. So then the students that freaking go there treat it like a second class university. The Board of Regents and all the directors wouldn't allow for Middle Tennessee to get a law school. So they can't, because they, God forbid, they even compete on an academic level
Yeah.
with Tennessee or Memphis or Vanderbilt or any of the other schools. So they don't, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's such a disconnect, dude. It's so frustrating because Murfreesboro is such a cool place and it has like arguably the most potential in the group of five. Like there's no reason Murfreesboro can't be, because it's see, when we were there, it was very small town, college town like, and it's blown up like crazy due to the growth of Nashville and all of that stuff. But where it's lacking is that true like community feel. And when you have a university that has 20 or 30,000 students and you have a president that is a politician and you have a mayor who appears to be a politician, and you just can't get anything done. You can't get anybody to buy in. I mean, if your mayor is taking pictures of himself in Knoxville smoking a cigar when Tennessee wins a game, like, and you have a team in your own backyard that, I don't know, he hasn't tweeted about them since like 2018. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like, dude, it's your city. It's your university. Like it's like you're the mayor. And like if anybody has influence to get people to buy into the athletic program or the university, like it's you, dude. And so, man, it's super frustrating to see. But again, I've heard some things where he's tried to make that happen. And the president of the university, the president, and I don't want to get like too in the weeds here. The president at Middle is very concerned about hitting certain numbers of certain amount of foreign exchange students, certain amount of, you know, out of state, certain amount of whatever metric that he's trying to hit as far as demographics go. And in exchange, like you get people that come to the school that could care less about Murfreesboro and they graduate and they leave, versus making it a place people want to go where they graduate like Jeff, graduate and start a business and raise a family and continue to go to games and events and everything like that. And so they've just, the students that the president wants are not necessarily in general now helping the city of Murfreesboro. So I think that's where the mayor is less, you know, likely to really support. And then, but again, then you have the mayor that's 3 hours away in Knoxville on a Saturday. So like, why? I don't know. Why would you care what and try to connect with the mayor? You know, it's just so backwards. Everything is done backwards, and leadership from literally the entire chain of command is on different pages.
Was it like that when you were
I
in
say,
college at Middle?
what if we get Matt, you be president of the university, and Jeff is just mayor, and then we problem solved in my like. We got
I
to
tell
take
you
both
what,
sides of it. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, buddy, we take every dollar we have and put it into the athletic program. we we
Oh, I
might
know.
we'll have a damn good athletic program and people would know our name and people would want to come to school there. But I don't know what kind of degree they'd get.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
you know what?
I tell you what, I'd donate some money out of my bank account.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing. Like I joke about that, but you talk to a president that does understand or an athletic director that does understand. Like we were up at Toledo last weekend, talked to their AD. They get it so much. He's like, yeah, like my job as athletic director is to showcase our university. Like that's what athletics are for, to get eyes on our university. So you talk to him and then you talk to Kelly Damphus, the president at Texas State, and he's the president, but he knows, hey man, only football can have our brand on ESPN every Saturday because you see somebody's flying a Texas State flag every Saturday morning on game day. And he's like, only football can do that. No matter how good my law school or my engineering school or my medical school, no matter how good it is, like none of those will advertise the way a good football team can. And
I think at Georgia Southern we got lucky. At Georgia Southern was kind of struggling with that a little bit, many years ago until they got Dr. Marrero. And I don't know if Cole, I think you might have met him briefly, but Matt, I
Hmm.
don't know if you've gotten a chance to meet Dr. Marrero yet or not, but fantastic individual, great family, great guy. But he gets, like you said, your football is, your team that's going to be on ESPN or your national television more so than any other sport until, Georgia Southern baseball is on TV when we hosted the regional against Notre Dame, right? But that was one time on national
mhm,
television. You know what I mean? Right now, Southern, we're about to be on national TV for our sixth or seventh game this year alone. And it's only spent a couple months. And like, I feel like we're lucky to have Dr. Murray in that case. And like you said, Texas State's great president involved that freaking gets it. And
yep.
that's what not only middle, but the majority of these schools are lacking. Honestly, like
It's the Southeast. You
as
know what
much
I
as
mean?
I
The
can't
Southeast is just
stand
all about football.
Yeah, as much as I can't stand Georgia State, but stuff like that is what a school like Georgia State is lacking. Like you look
Mhm.
at Del McGee is a great football coach, right? He's a good recruiter. He showed that at Georgia Southern and at UGA. And if you get the president to buy in and get the fan base behind that school, I'm telling you, Georgia State's going to be a problem as much as I hate saying that. But
Yep.
that's a school like that in middle, they need it just to get some sort of funding, just to get back relevant, you know what I mean?
Well,
Not
and
in football,
you,
but just in
you
every
got
other.
to get some type of momentum too. Like you just got to get some type of excitement around it. Um,
Jeff Murphy for mayor. That's just going to get me excited. I'm just going to throw that out there. That's where we
got,
start.
he's got my vote.
He's
I'm
got
about
my
to tweet
vote.
that out right now.
Jeff Murray for mayor. Yeah, I'm
I,
ready, and I think the more research that you guys do, and I think that you guys could you guys your guys' platform could and just the ties that you have, you could save this. It's egregious, honestly, seeing what I saw. It's egregious, and I hate that from like what you've heard is that the community is not riled around the university, and that's what makes the town. That's what can make the town so much better. Because my first time in Statesboro, Georgia Southern was everything to that town.
mhm.
Even to Tallahassee at the Power Five level, everything revolves around Florida State University there, the economy. And being as bad as the team is, it hurts the local economy. And that's how deeply rooted the team and the university is in the community. And just having that disconnect is just, it sucks. But like I said, we're going to get Murphy into office. We're going to right these wrongs. Um, I'm ready for House Murphy to run Murfreesboro. It just makes so much sense
Buddy,
over here. It
I'm
just
ready for
does.
it too, man.
I
Yeah,
just
I'm
tweeted
ready.
that out. I just tweeted that out and tagged on
What'd you say in there?
I love
I tagged Jeff, so I was like at Jeff Murphy for mayor of Murfreesboro, Tennessee is all we're gonna say.
Yeah, that's all we need. It'll right the wrongs, and I'm gonna go ahead and retweet
Yeah,
that
because
live right here. But
this is coming out tomorrow, so that'll be a little teaser for the episode. But yeah, man, I mean, it's Matt, I gotta because I know we're kind of wrapping it up here, get you out of here. But, Matt, going back to Southern, Southern's, we got a tough game on Saturday, obviously an absolute nightmare of a game last Thursday night. A lot of fans out there are wanting a change at quarterback. Helton already said he's going to get Dexter involved a little bit in the running game. As an unbiased fan of college football and a fan of Georgia Southern, how do you stand on that kind of quarterback situation?
Man, French had been playing really good for the first, 5 or 6 games.
Mhm.
He didn't turn it over at all for a little bit. And I think there's a big risk in making a change because now if your next guy doesn't work out, now you're going to go back to JC French.
Mhm.
And then both guys' confidence and rhythm is gone. And so I think it's a huge risk. And, I mean, people thought he didn't play well a game or two before, but it's one loss, really. You know what I mean? Like it's one game that he didn't play well in, and yeah, he'll probably have a shorter leash this week. But man, they were calling for French to be benched after the Boise during in the first quarter of the Boise game. They
Yeah.
were calling, the fans were starting to boo. So, fans are fans. I think you have to trust your coach. I mean, Clay Helton's been doing this a long time. He's been around some really good players. He's from a family of really good coaches. So I think you just got to be careful. There's a lot of teams that want to bench their QB and make a change, but your coach knows what's going on in practice, and he may know that the next guy's not better. And so, I think you just got to trust your coach and what they're seeing, and what all the coaches are seeing. I mean, your OC, your QB coach, your head coach, all of them are. I'm sure they're meeting about it every week. Do we want to make a change? What do we want to do? Do we want to see what they do in practice? This and that. And so I think you just got to be careful. I think if French comes in and starts turning it over early, then maybe you pull the plug. But I don't know. He's got you to be in a kind of a weird tie for first place right now. So
Yeah.
if you would have asked a Georgia Southern fan preseason, right, like, hey, if you're going to be tied for first in the East with a month to go, you'd take it, right? Everybody would have probably said yes. But this is what happens. It's just like what happened with y'all in Helton's first year. You kind of overachieve. So then last year, everybody has this crazy expectation and it doesn't live up to it. And they want to fire Helton. And then this year, they start out fast. And it's like, whoa, we didn't think we were going to get like this. So then you lose. And it's like your expectation changes. And
Yeah.
so with all that success comes an expectation of continued success. And the minute it stops, everybody wants to fire everybody.
Yeah, I was talking today with my buddy Dylan. We're just kind of talking about all of that. I get it. It's frustrating. Yes. I mean, of course, a game like that game against ODU, man, it's frustrating as crap. I mean, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, there's only about 5% of our fan base that I just can't stand. The other 95% are great. They're great people, great fans. But that 5%, look, all they're doing is just taking to there goes Cole again. He texted me the Wi-Fi is messing up at his house. It's been messing up ever since the hurricane hadn't been back right. And
Mm.
but anyway, that 5% is like you're taking a Twitter to go complain, complain, complain. It's so easy to complain or whatever, it is, but most of these people are not really donors either. It's like, oh, I'm never giving another penny to the school, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, were you really given any in
Yeah.
the first place besides, maybe your college tuition? I get
Yeah.
that. That's a crap load of money, not trying to take that away from you. But at the same time, it's like, why can't we just have faith in our school? And like we talked about earlier, why can't you just be proud of your alma mater, you know, as it is? I'm proud of my alma mater, whether we go one and whatever, or we go undefeated. You know what I mean? I live
Hmm.
and die with the Eagles, and I'm so I don't know. It's just I hate to see people just graduate from Georgia Southern and go up to Athens every single weekend and just like don't even go to a Georgia Southern game. I'm not going to name this guy's name, but was there for the Marshall game, and I was talking to one of my fraternity brothers, and he pulls up to the game and he's wearing a Georgia shirt. And I said, dude, this is your 5th year in Statesboro. Your 4.5 year. Like, you started here, you're graduating in December, and you're coming to your school's game that's about to hand you a degree in December, and you're going to the game with the Georgia shirt on? He said, yeah, man, like, I'm a big Georgia fan. Like, I don't really even care about Georgia Southern. I looked him dead in the eye and I said, why don't you just go to Georgia then? And he said, well, I just didn't want to transfer in all of that stuff. And I said, all right, then don't go to the game. And he said, well, I'm still going to go to the game because I like football. And I said, well, then take the effing shirt off, dude. Like, come on.
I'll
That's
never
my
understand
biggest
that.
pet peeve.
Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve. If I go into a game where you're wearing a non, like if you're going to a game and you have no rooting interest, like I've gone to plenty of Florida, like I went to a Florida Tennessee game. I wear a black shirt. I just like I'll wear this Rose Bowl shirt to like just a random game. You know what I mean? Like if I have no rooting interest, you're not gonna catch me wearing a Florida State shirt at a Georgia Southern game or at a UCF game. Like I went to UCF Louisville a couple years ago. I wore I wore just like a shirt with it was a Furman shirt, but no one could tell it was a Furman shirt. It looked like a UCF night shirt. But that's an FCS program. I'm not like it's my biggest pet peeve
Yeah.
when at any level, at any sport, when you wear just a completely non, I don't care if they're playing that day or what, just it's my biggest pet peeve. And another biggest pet peeve is this damn laptop that I've had. I'm gonna chuck it out the window after this. But I can't.
You
I'm
you and me
over
both.
it.
Who,
Yeah,
me?
I'm over
dude,
it.
I swear they do it. I think they do it like out of spite. Like, because we had that at middle, right? People like, we're getting ready to play whoever, Troy or Western Kentucky, and there's like people wearing Tennessee stuff or have their tailgate tent is bright ass orange, or they're sitting on a chair back that's got a Tennessee
Not for
logo on.
long.
And it's just like,
Not for
man,
long.
it's like, yeah, because that's getting outlawed, buddy, when we're in power. but like,
Oh yeah.
man, it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's like I swear it's like a weird complex, like, "Ooh, look at me, like I'm cool. I'm a Tennessee fan or I'm a Georgia fan." It's like it's the weirdest thing, man. And it's again, it's like you said, man, then go there. Why don't you just go there? And part of it, like in scenario, like I blame the university a lot because they've done that and they've made it a university that people are not proud of, right? I mean, I don't know, like I joke with this guy that I work with, right? He went to a college that doesn't have football, right? And he's a Georgia fan. Okay, whatever, man, that's fine. If you grew up that way, your school didn't have football, that's
It,
fine. But he's
it's
not like a
a Georgia college guy because all of them are Georgia fans.
he's a what
Um,
is he like a West Georgia something? I don't know where the hell he went, but I joke
My
with him
current
because
school does not have football, so I wear Florida State. But I went to Florida State for a year, so it's a little loud.
on
I
Mondays we
feel.
come into the office and he says stuff like, "Yeah, we," and I'm like, "Buddy, we." I'm like, "You don't even you have no affiliation." And then I'm like, "Let me ask you something." I said, "On your resume when you interviewed for this job, does it say, Georgia fan on it? Do you put Georgia Bulldogs football fan? No. Do you put the university you went to? So that's the one that got you the job. That's the one where you met your wife. That's the one that got you the house. Like, I don't understand people that like, and I'm not asking anybody. Everybody thinks when we tweet stuff like this, they think you're asking people to give up on their childhood and their memories and stuff. Like, no, we're not, dude. I make it very clear that I grew up going to Miami games, and when Miami plays now, I got a little soft spot for them, and they beat the dog shit out of Florida State this weekend. But, but, but like 3 years ago when Middle was beating the shit out of Miami, I had people texting me like, "I bet you're torn." I'm like, no, the hell I'm torn. Why would I be torn? My
yeah.
alma mater is smoking the team that I grew up. It's like I actually love it even more than anything else.
Can that happen again? Because I went through hell this weekend,
I,
like
I,
and
I will
mentally.
say I will
Uh,
say this. What a backdoor cover by the Seminoles, though.
yeah, they did
What a
score
backdoor
real
cover.
late, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Not here in the state of Florida. It was not a backdoor cover because the line was 21 and a half.
Mm.
that's tough. But yeah, I mean, anyway, like what you're talking about, Matt, it's just like, yeah, you met your wife there at the university or whatever, like My dad met my mom at Georgia Southern, right? They both got 2 degrees from Georgia Southern. My brother met his wife at Georgia Southern. I met my wife at Georgia Southern. Like, if it wasn't for Statesboro and Georgia Southern, like, there's no telling if I would even be here right now.
Hmm.
There's no telling I'd be sitting here in Perry, Georgia with my beautiful wife sitting in the other room. You know,
Yep.
if it wasn't for that university, like I don't know where I wouldn't have the job that I have, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't have the things that I have without the university. And, don't get me wrong, I grew up going to Georgia football games as well. I grew up going to Georgia Southern. I've got both of my memories growing up was a lot of Georgia and Georgia Southern football. I'm not afraid to admit, at times, I'm rooting for Georgia in the national championship. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if they match up or whatever it is, I'm rooting for the Eagles. There's no question in my mind. And you're the same way about Middle. Middle and Miami play. I know good and well who you're rooting for, and you ain't got to question that.
Yep. Well, and could you? I mean, I don't know. I just couldn't imagine, like, I don't live in Murfreesboro anymore. Hopefully someday I'm back that way. But like for my kids now, like, why do I want them to be a fan of somewhere that we have no affiliation towards?
Yeah.
Like, if we're watching Middle and then when they get old enough to be like, why are we rooting for them? And like, my wife will be like, well, daddy actually played on or whatever. Or like, yeah, we went there. That's where mommy and daddy met. Like when we go to games, this is where mommy and daddy first met, whatever. This like like I don't understand. It's just like I don't know, it's a completely different way of thinking, I guess. And like I don't understand. I realize it's different a little bit, playing on the team is a little different, but dude, we got players. We got dudes that played at Middle
Mm.
that that still live in Murfreesboro or Nashville and haven't been to a game in like a decade. But boy, the minute they lose, they're on Facebook. So we never did this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, this is your fault. This is your fault because you graduated and you never gave a dime and you never went back. You don't help the young kids or whatever. And so, man, it drives me crazy. But boy, let them get good. And everybody's going to come out of the woodworks and
Mm.
start talking about how they were there and this and that, and they go to the games and this. But like, you mentioned, like the 5% of fans that are the loudest. I always like, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a famous quote about like the loudest people contribute the least amount.
Yep.
Like that's 100% true always. And then it's like, I mean, it's like politics, right? Everybody that's on Twitter is like the crazy wild extremes on either side. And you're like, man, most people are just normal, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, most people don't really care about these topics that y'all are talking about. Like, we just, I don't know. And football is very similar. It's like, okay, you got the 5% that are
I
super
can,
vocal and you need those
I
people. Like you need those fans, but
yeah,
man, it's rough.
I can kind of give like a little bit of like, so my family, the reason that we like Florida State is it goes all the way back to like my dad moved in high school up to South Carolina, and this is legit. He was the oldest of all the brothers. We didn't really care much about football and stuff. And then he was around Clemson fans being in Greenville, going to high school in Greenville, and they were like, "You have to like a football team." And he goes, I like Bobby Bowden. He's a great guy. Faith family football like that stuck with him. And then it spread like wildfire in our family. None of them went to Florida State. I was the first one that technically went to Florida State. I didn't finish there because you don't get a degree for partying, or else I'd be a
You
doctor.
don't?
But like that was like he stuck with it. That was back in the '80s, early '90s, and he stuck with it because he was like, I mean, I don't want to be a Clemson fan because you guys are
Yeah.
annoying. I'm from Florida. Thank God he didn't pick UF. But then it kind of just we grew up going to those games and stuff like that. So I guess I can see both sides of it. Like we just became fans of it because it was more of, I guess, like my dad chose it, and then it just
Yeah.
spread like wildfire throughout the family. And then you get to me, who's the crazy fanatic, and now it's even bigger. And that's just kind of how we got our ties. So
I mean,
I,
there's
I
no
mean, I
problem. There's no problem with rooting for if you're a Southern fan. There's no problem with rooting for Georgia. I'm not going to hate
Yeah.
on that, but you got to know who your alma mater is, and you got to show support to your school no matter what. Let's just say a high school, for example. It's pretty much the same thing. It's like, man, you're not going to go. to your rival high school and then just go blow smoke up the ass of your rival. I mean, nobody does that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've got great friends to this day. Some of my best friends, we went to rival high schools growing up. And guess what? Like, and my brother went to that rival high school too. We went to two different schools, and me and my brother still go at it just because of we beat them 4 years straight in high school football. And I'll never let my brother live it down because he never beat us. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. But last thing I got on this topic is I can't wait till we win the Sun Belt this year and the group of five guys are in attendance. And Coach Helton is going to, not really, but he's going to give the big middle finger to these fans that want him fired right now.
Double bird at the press conference.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. I wish a lot of these coaches would do that.
I will be in attendance for that game as well, and I will have my
You-
playbook
You
with
better
me.
hope.
I will.
I'm hoping for your sake we get the Cure Bowl. I really do. For your sake to make it easy for everybody to travel there. But
We get the
yeah,
Cure Bowl. I'm there. It's
to
right
kind of
down there.
wrap
It's 40.
things
It's like
up,
right there.
to kind of wrap things up, I know we talked about for the episode about song of the week doing it first, and I missed it. So
Oh
song of the
no.
week, I'll go ahead and start us off. My
Oh
song
man.
of the week, I'm kind of torn in between a couple of them, but I've got to go with a song from my man Sturgill Simpson. If y'all haven't heard Sturgill Simpson, went to his concert last Thursday in Duluth. Unbelievable. The guy played for 3.5 hours straight, no stop. It was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to. But Scooter Blues by Sturgill Simpson. Unbelievable song.
Wow.
Mine's pretty simple. It's been stuck in my head, and it's just like these past couple weeks have been kind of crazy with everything going on in my life, being getting the Waffle House coach thing kind of going. So it's been Christopher Cross, Ride Like the Wind, because that's how I feel like I've been doing. I've been riding like the
Oh,
wind on all of this, going to
Nice.
Duke and then Miami, and now I'm going to the game this weekend. So it's been hectic, and I'm sure we're gonna touch on that more after this weekend, Josh, next episode, because this is the big weekend and all that. But "Ride Like the Wind" by Christopher Cross been stuck in my head, and I love that song so much, so much. Oh, it's a great one.
what you got?
Man. I could go a lot of ways here. My music taste has changed a lot in the last really since I've had kids because I can't listen to the same things that I used to listen to. So I
No,
have
no
like
two live crew.
none of my like I literally have a Florida playlist that has all like the Florida like you guys probably won't know like Piccolo and all like Trick Daddy and all the Miami like
I
I have
I
that.
know.
Yeah, you know it. But I'm in my car at work, and sometimes I still listen to rap. But I got one that's been in my head that I've been getting fired up to is a little hip hop. "Twisting Fingers" by the Mexican OT. Give it a listen. Texas
Oh
guy,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know
big
Mexican
Mexican
OT.
OT guy.
I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of his, honestly.
He makes some good music.
He does. He does.
Yes, he does.
I'm not like a crazy like hip hop rap guy, but Mexican OT is kind of like one of those guys for me. It's like I don't really listen to it on a regular basis, but I've got like certain artists that it's like I can flip on. I don't care what the song is because I know it's going to be good. Like
Hmm.
that's a lot of like this might be weird, not really weird, but like I feel like it's weird to me because I don't really strike much people as a Young Dolph fan, but Young Dolph gets me fired up, honestly.
Yeah,
You're a Young Dolph fan.
Dude,
This is what?
I do
dude,
like.
just like high school, but like even like in high school, like Lil Uzi was going on, like Drake, Migos were just getting popular when I was in high school,
Yeah,
like all that
but
kind of
Young
stuff.
Dolph. I
Oh,
didn't know that about you. You learn something new every day.
flip me on some 100 shots, and I'm going crazy. I,
Really?
word for word. I got
I
I
like
have.
Young Dolph. I don't like like that Lil Uzi Vert like that kind of music I can't
Well,
really deal with.
when he first came out when I was in high school, like 2016, 17, when he first got popular, like I'm with that, like his old music,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
like
Mr.
old
Sprouse,
Migos too.
I do have one thing. I need an absolute hammer whale play for you this week. I need a G5 hammer whale play.
Yeah.
We're 1-0 with the future mayor of Murfreesboro, Mr. Murphy himself. So I need you to give me something, and I
When
will
are
hammer
y'all
it. I will
when are y'all dropping this episode here?
Tomorrow.
tomorrow probably.
Okay. Okay.
I'll put it in right now.
Okay.
Whole unit.
It can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
I'm gonna take something controversial here. Wow, by the way, Louisiana Tech 3, Sam Houston 2 going into the half right
Yes.
now.
What's
Nice
that?
one.
What's that Lafayette score?
I
I
think
think
it
it's
was
7-6.
14. I think it's 14-6 Louisiana now. I think, right? Yeah, I got news for you, Josh. That Sun Belt Championship game might be in Lafayette, Louisiana, my friend. Which
I'm still there.
have you been there?
One time, but it was on a Thursday night game, and that
That's a
was
special.
2 years ago. Coach
That's a
helped.
Josh, I'll
special
make it.
place.
Josh, if you can
Lafayette
get me
is a
there, I will be
special
there in the
place on
trench.
championship weekend. I'm just gonna tell y'all both.
Hey, look,
It's a
I'm
fun time.
looking forward to finding if we do play there. I just want to find some fellow Group of Five guys fans to hang out with and like
They're there.
experience like a real Cajun tailgate is what I really want to do.
They're there. If it happens, likely we'll try to get there. I don't know how likely it is. We're trying to figure out our schedule and stuff like that. But there's a lot. I went when we like first were starting the Twitter. My wife and I went, and it was a time, and they were all about it. And I mean the Cajun tailgate, the food. I mean, and they got an RV section.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know who those people are, but there's some damn money somewhere in Lafayette because their RV section looks like one of those. Like you ever been to one of those like RV shows at like a convention center? It looks like that, like all the big
We're over
like
in
tour bus
Tampa.
looking
Yeah,
ones.
been before.
Yeah, dude,
It's
looks like
crazy.
Camping World just pulled up or something. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
here's my bet for you, and this is risk. This is high risk, high reward. Give me Wednesday night game. Give me
Love
Jacksonville
it. I love
State
it.
money line on the road against the Liberty Flames.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh.
they're
Hey,
Liberty's 2-point
dude,
favorites,
I'll
so you
tell
might as
you,
well just go straight up.
looking ahead almost a year from now, or a little less than a year from now, Jacksonville State is Georgia Southern's home opener next year.
Really?
Yeah.
It'll be another good one. Excuse me.
But yeah, Matt, go ahead, Cole.
I hate Jacksonville State because they walked it off in front of me, and I still haven't forgotten it.
Sure did.
So
But
I would love to be there to open the season with you again next year. We'll talk more about that, but
hey,
I'm putting it in right now.
let's
They're
do
beating
it.
Liberty tomorrow.
Let's do it. Matt, one quick last question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you had to pick a team in all of college football, P4, G5 doesn't matter. What's the team that you just absolutely can't stand?
Notre Dame and Ohio State.
I I I could not agree more.
Mm-hmm.
I truly could not agree more. But yeah,
Perfect.
hey, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If you want to stick around once we end this, I do have to tell you something um off air.
I'm
So
sticking around.
Yes,
Appreciate y'all, man.
little teaser. Oh no,
yeah, so
appreciate you.
hey,
Thank you.
but hey, thank you so much. Like I said, this will come out tomorrow. So if everybody do us a favor, like and subscribe. Matt, if you want to give out y'all socials, so people can look that up as well.
Check out the main Group of Five Guys account at Group of Five Guys, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel, Group of Five Guys. Subscribe, like, tell your family and friends.
All right, guys. Thanks, Matt.
Hey, thanks a lot, Matt.
See ya.
Jeff Murphy for mayor.
Jeff Murphy for mayor.
Let's go.